strap yourself in for the young, ballsy, and brash Armada Hot Shot with Jolt, and he's gonna be our focus, or rather, they're gonna be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, that's right, baby, hit that notification bell. It helps me out a ton and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, and the Autobot family. Have a look for me everywhere across social media. All of those links, man, are down in the description. And this is Armada Hot Shot. Now, anybody who knows me at all will know that I'm not a fan of the Unicron trilogy in the least. Not all aspects of the franchise appeal to all fans. We kind of pick and choose what we like the best. Nevertheless, I do try, when I can, to sort of support all segments of the fans, whether I particularly like it or not. And case in point would be offerings from Armada, or I suppose for that matter, Cybertron and Energon. And this is on loan to me by a good friend of the channel, Maximal10. I consider myself very fortunate to be able to take a look at this. Yes, we're traveling back in time, but believe it or not, I've never handled this guy until right now. Is he good? Is he great? Is he junk? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at these guys. And so here we have the original Transformers Hot Shot. The guy who was, from my understanding, now I gotta admit, I'm not a Unicron trilogy guy, so I could get some of this wrong, but my understanding was that this guy was originally supposed to be Bumblebee, and he was only supposed to be something like 16 years old. Nevertheless, he got renamed as Hotshot. He got partnered with the minicon Jolt, who is this little red helicopter attached to his hind quarter. And this looks kind of weird, but Jolt actually serves a couple of, I don't know what you call it, functions, I guess, in this mode. The very first thing you can do is come back here and bring this down and bring this out, and it's like a, I don't know, it gives him, it's a fan, I guess it's supposed to give him extra speed or something. You know, he kind of works like a propeller. Now he's in there pretty solid. I'm just going to take him off. We'll look at him in a little bit. That kind of took that apart. There are, of course, minicon ports on this guy here and here. Admittedly, there are certain buttons and I guess spring-loaded things on this guy that I kind of don't know how it works. Some of it I figured out, some of it I haven't. I'm sure some of it is stuff that you guys will know better than me. He rolls great. He's a modified Audi TT. It's a nice car mode. It's a nice yellow car mode. We have a minicon port here, another one on this side that I can see up, you know, kind of up easy. The blaster that's used by Jolt, apparently, can go in on the hood here, and when you push it down, though only one of these really tends to want to come out, it's supposed to activate these two claw things. I guess they're claw things. And they're actually the feet in robot mode, but for the purposes in vehicle mode, they're like claw, little weird claw things. Even with them deployed, he still rolls pretty good. You know, it's not bad at all. I guess I'll take this off. Because we're starting out here in vehicle mode, we're not going to do his scores yet. We'll do that when we get the guy in robot mode, and since we have the feet out, we might as well get into the transformation and get this guy in his robot mode. So we come to the side first, now that we have the feet out, and we should be able to, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, pop a door and pop a door. They fold all the way down over. We're going to end up having those be the legs. They will sort of rotate around when the time is right. Then we come to the kind of hood and roof, or sorry, the roof and windshield section, and they split, and these pieces flip up, and once they split and those pieces flip up, you can pull these out to the side. Oh, kind of went out of frame a little bit there. Once that's done, you fold this down the rest of the way, you fold this down the rest of the way. We sort of stand the guy up, we split the legs and rotate around and rotate around. I'm just going to reorient things slightly so that we can finish the upper body. I just wanted to back things up to make it a little easier to see everything here. We take this visor and I guess pick it up so you can see Hotshot's face. The shoulders here, this is so weird. These, how is it these there? They rotate up like that and then the whole shoulder comes down and I guess you can kind of bend the elbow a little bit there. The whole area here rotates around and then you bring that down and that is it. Really, that's it. That's all she wrote in terms of the base transformation. Now it's time to get into some of these scores and we're going to do the transformation first, but before we get into the scores, this isn't the only transformation we have. No, because we do have to worry about Jolt as well. And here we have the little helicopter known as Jolt. And we basically bring that down and bring this up over so that we can fold down his feet and then we bring the, I guess, rotor back on his back. And that's really it. That's kind of everything with Jolt. The little arms come forward on the guy. The entire tail section comes down and becomes his chest. The rotors come up over his head so you can flip down the feet and then you put the rotors back, but in the end we have Jolt and we have Hotshot. We'll deal with Jolt first. His transformation is fairly simple for the most part, as you would probably expect. I guess it's you know what, it's a little more clever than what you see with, say, Micromasters. It's a little more clever than what you've seen recently with Titan Masters because you do have a couple of more moving parts. I'm going to say it's, I don't know, I guess it's a 5, maybe it's a 6. It's a pretty good transformation, all things considered. The articulation on the little guy, the head really doesn't do anything. The arms can, I think they're on ball pegs, but you don't get much in the way of outward movement. I don't detect any elbow, but if there is, then they don't want to move on this copy. The arms, I guess, can go all the way around. The legs can go all the way forward, they can go all the way back, and there's a bend at the knee. Unfortunately, the legs are, oh, I thought they were mono legs, my mistake. The legs are independent. Ooh, much better. Much, much, much better. So, very much like the Siege, Earthrise, Micromasters in terms of articulation, with a more clever transformation. I'm not usually a big fan of minicons, but Jolt's articulation, I'm going to say, is a solid 8 for what it is. If he had elbows, it'd be pretty much perfect. And the coloration, as I recall from the cartoon, he was more of like a pink salmon color than the red here. Now, I like the red, but it's not exactly how I remember the character. Now, I could be remembering him wrong. That would be very possible. But I will say this. The silver seems to be where it should be. The face sculpt seems about right. I don't know. Maybe the salmon would look weird in, like, plastic colors. Maybe. If you know the character, I think you're going to know it's Jolt. You're probably going to say he's a little more red than he should be. I don't know. We'll give it, I'm in a good mood. Let's give it an 8. Overall, I'm going to say Jolt is about a 7. He's pretty good. He's one of the better minicons. Let's put it that way. So we're just going to take him out of it. And we're going to focus on really the main event here, which of course is going to be Hotshot. The transformation, I think, like, it's logical, it makes sense, it has moving parts. I love the way that we get little, like, kind of flippy-do thing at the bicep there. I think that's really cool myself. So I'm going to say the transformation's a solid 7.5, let's say. I think that it's pretty fair to say it's at least a solid 7.5. Then we get into his coloration, which is actually pretty good. I mean, the kind of silver on the chest section is pretty much where it should be, as is the red colors. Maybe, arguably, on the lower arms and hands, maybe that should be a little more gray or silver than this like bluish color. Maybe down on the side of his leg here should have a little bit more of a breakup of the color. This is pretty much right on his lower leg. The Autobot symbol's in the right spot. I'm gonna say, honestly, it's a solid 9.5. Like, it might not be quite perfect, but it's pretty darn close. So we had a 7.5 and 9.5. He's getting an 8.5. Then we get to the articulation. And the articulation, well, the head doesn't really do anything from what I can gather, though the visor can come down over it if you want. The shoulders can go all the way out. Unfortunately, they cannot go forward or back. We do get a bicep swivel. We do get an elbow to 90 degrees, nothing at the wrist. So the shoulder limitation, not good, man, not good. Think now, we had Beast Wars and Robots in Disguise before this line. So we know that we were able to get outward and forward and back motion on a shoulder. Even if it was a ball joint, you were able to get all that range. So I feel like that this was a bit of a step back in engineering. So I think that that's too bad. Do we have a waist? No waist on the guy. Getting the arms out to the side. We can go forward, we can go back. We have a swivel. And we have a knee, but it's well under 90 degrees. It's not a great knee. And I guess we have, well, spring-loaded toes. We sort of have toes. There's things here to like, but it's also things here that are lacking. Now before I kind of score that, I think part of it had to do with the gimmick for this line. Couple of things here still worth noting. We have two bigger holes there and two small holes up here. So let's see if I can do this now. Hoping I can do this. It's a tight fit. Maybe it's this. No, it's not that way. It is definitely this way that it's supposed to go. Or maybe it's down this way. Yeah, I think that's, there we go. You could put the blaster there on the chest if you're so inclined. But on the back, we also have this axle here. And you can take someone like our minicon boy here, and he should be able to, I think, fit on there. There. So, and that only sort of showed it. When you push it in, this comes up over his head. I should actually rearrange this so you can see it better. There we go. So, using the minicon port here, this at first disengages and comes up over. As you move it up, this will actually rotate. I don't know if I can... Might not be able to get it to do it now, because I guess you got to do it with... Yeah, there you go. It disengages it again. So you push it in to get it to come up. You push it up to get it to rotate. And once it rotates, it fires. It automatically fires this spring-loaded... Can I even get this back in here now? Yeah. It automatically fires that spring-loaded thing. So he has this over-the-head cannon. I think that because of this gimmick and it having to fit back here, I think that is exactly why the shoulders have the limits that they do. It was all for the gimmick, and that's a shame because it hurts his score. Honestly, I can only give the articulation, considering classics and like the Universe line quickly followed this, considering we had RID and Beast Wars and even Beast Machines before this that had great ranges of articulation. I have to give the articulation, honestly, about a 6.5. Overall, this guy was a 7.5. Jolt was a 7.5. Altogether, they're about a 7.5. Now, just how big, though, is this guy? Well, here he is next to his Transformers Selects self that came out fairly recently, within the last year as of this recording. Obviously, the earlier one is bulkier, heftier, and even a bit bigger, but I have to admit, there's something about the proportions on the original, most notably the size of the head and kind of the size of the arms in proportion to the legs, that strikes me as a weird proportion. For all the imperfections that the Selects ones have, I do think it's better proportioned. Overall, final analysis, standing at a 7.5 as an overall score, it still stands up as a great offering. This day and age, he still displays very well, but You have to understand that there are certain articulation limits, and that is going to affect the dynamic poses that you can pull off with the guy. If you're cool with that, then there's still nothing wrong with this classic Hot Shot. And Jolt, for that matter. And here we are once again, and here they are. First things first, I like Jolt. I'm not a minicon kind of guy for the most part. I prefer Micromasters or the mini bots from G1, but I do think that this works very well. Clever kind of transformation, even if simple. I was very happy to learn that his legs actually split and he had two separate legs. I thought that was great. Would it be nice if there was a little more movement on the arms? Sure. But you know what? I've been saying the same sort of complaint about the Siege Micromaster, so really it's not that egregious. In terms of the main character itself, a bit of a disappointment. I feel like the styling and the plastic feels more like rescue bots than anything to me. Now, that being said, it is robust, and I don't think anything is going to break. The transformation is kind of clever. I sort of dig it. I like it. It's simple, but enough moving parts to be interesting. But the gimmick makes the articulation and posability of this guy suffer. Knowing that better could be accomplished, because we saw it in Beast Wars, we saw it in Beast Machines. The limitations on the shoulders here, for the sake of the gimmick, I think is unfortunate. Had that not been there, I firmly believe that the shoulders would have had a greater range of motion than what they do. But, to be fair, even now, some, 15, 16, 17 years later, I still complain about gimmicks kind of ruining what could otherwise be a great offering of a character. Most specifically, I've sort of lamented that during things like Cyberverse, for example. It's neat that I got to have a chance to look at this. And overall, I think he's pretty cool. I think he's pretty great, except for the shoulders. And the shoulders are so bad that it really almost kind of ruins things, at least for me. Maybe that's why I personally am okay with the Selects one standing as my version of this character. Let me know what you think about the original iteration of Hot Shot. You know I love to hear from you guys. I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there's a donate link down in the description. Don't forget, somehow, someway, each and every day, you do make a difference. Hit that subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us. And I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either on the live show, every Thursday night around 6, in the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, man, right here inside the videos.